This is the Michael Bryan Show. Hi everyone, welcome back to the show, and today I am joined with Christy Swaid, who's a nationally recognised health and wellness visionary. She's also a Guinness World Record holder, and we are discussing her experience as a jet ski racer and many other things. So Christy, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, share with us, Christy, what is your Guinness World Record? What is it? Is it a sport? Is it an exercise activity? What's your world record?
Well, the world record is that I'm the oldest woman to knock off a full aerial backflip on a stand-up jet ski and ride it out.
So did you have to do any preparation for that, or did you sort of pick up the jet ski and go, right, let's do this?
Well, I think you'll be interested to know the backstory why I did it in the first place. I had gone through some things, in my racing career. Starting at age 19, I was a professional world champion. I had won several races and several championships over the course of a decade, and then chose to get married and start a new life in Alabama. And in recent years, since right before the pandemic, suffered a series of like grief blows like I had never anticipated or was prepared for. So the reason I did the flip was to reconnect with what I say, my inner warrior, my inner joy, the time in my life when I didn't feel just a horrible stream of fear and anxiety. Um, the different seasons of life are something that my new business, Checkered Flag Living, focuses on, and how to best move forward through them. This particular season of my life in 2019, my mother, who is my faith anchor, best friend, surprisingly passed away. And then we went into the pandemic, and I have two teenage boys who were in high school trying to get ready for college. We had to recreate their life at home, trying to cope like everybody else, as well as the nonprofit that I run. So there was really no time for me to really process the grief of losing my mom, which was something gigantic for me because I talked to her every day. And then shortly after my mom passed away, my lifelong legacy racing coach passed away. And then shortly after that, my dad passed away. Like, oh my God, it was the way I describe it in surfing, is like it's like going for the first wave of a giant set and getting folded and pitted, and then getting blown down by several following big waves. I was so dismayed and hurt and confused and full of grief that functioning was, I would say my primary feeling was fear, and fear was never my boss. So I decided, okay, this is also, faith is central to my life, faith in Jesus. And I never lost faith. My mother was always whispering scriptures in my ear and coaching me along. And even at her, just leading to her final breath, she coached me through how to go forward in faith. So I always held on to that. But I was like praying that God would help me find my joy again and shake this animal of fear. And so to trigger some inspiration, one of my best friends is the owner inventor of a fitness machine called VersaClimber. And he was going to celebrate his 95th birthday on June 1st of 2023. So I said, Richard, you helped me get through all kinds of race seasons where I needed to recover from injuries and reach peak performance. This is a kind of injury. This is a mental emotional pain that we know in wellness, as a wellness expert, that exercise and good company and all these things are antidotes for coping with trauma and anxiety and depression. So I said, Richard, I'm going to do 95 minutes on your climber to celebrate 95 years of your life. And so that was my inspiration trigger to get fit. I'm not one that wants to train hard unless I have a real goal to go for. It doesn't motivate me just to train without a real purpose. So that gave me a purpose, and I got on this machine, and it's a friend. It's a familiar old friend that's very hard. You got to pull with your arms. You got to do squats, deep knee bends, and it really preps you for jet ski racing because jet skis demand handlebars and upper body, lower body core requires everything. So this is a great simulation to the demand of a jet ski. So this is where my faith comes into play on the story. I'm taking you somewhere on purpose. The uh, the birthday came. We celebrated it, knocked off the 95 minutes, which is no small feat for anyone who's ever tried a VersaClimber. Let me ask you, have you ever tried a VersaClimber or seen a VersaClimber?
I think I've seen one. Is it almost like climbing a wall on the spot sort of thing, but you're off the floor as well?
Exactly. Yes, yes. Your hands are in motion and your feet are in motion, and you can never cheat. You're either pressing hard with the legs or pulling hard with the arms. One or the other is always, under load.
Yeah, it sounds like, I mean, I would imagine 5 minutes being tough, but 95, that must take some doing.
Absolutely. So I'm trying to get you to grasp where this is leading. So 2 weeks before I actually attempted the backflip. Now, mind you, in all my years of racing in the 80s, 90s, and then some in the 2000s, the I never got to do a full aerial backflip because the skis we rode were not designed to do that. We were always trying to go forward fast, never up and backwards ever. So the new stunt riders who came in invented that after I had retired. And I left racing and then got married and had children and really I left the sport for almost 20 years. And they were my fans and friends were not pleased with that option, but it was just a life choice that I made. And I dove deep into my new life in Alabama with my nonprofit and husband and children. But God would have it that I got to go for a full circle back to my roots. And so lo and behold, 2 weeks before the big crazy flip attempt that I made, my copy machine broke down at my nonprofit, which is where I am right now. You're looking at one of the backdrops in my office. And I was fit to be tied. It was like the 10th time it broke and I couldn't do it anymore. So I called a new company and said, we need your services. The copy machine salesperson walks in the door, Peter, and says, oh my gosh, I'm the biggest jet ski fan in the world. I'm a champion backflip stunt rider. I'm like, you're kidding me. And you live here in Alabama? Yes, just like an hour away. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. He goes, you want to do a backflip? I'm like, oh, do I? I'm begging to break out of this jail cell called fear. I have to do something brave. And it wasn't foolish, but it was truly a big reach. It was no small attempt, but not a foolish attempt. I don't want to give an example that, kids should jump off a cliff just because they're trying to, shake themselves out of fear. That's not what I'm saying here. It was definitely in stunts. Like I did also film and television stunts for Screen Actors Guild and all of that. It's calculated risk. So using calculated risk measures and talking to my brother and other people that know me, I'm like, should I do this? And none of them said no, but everyone knew that it's a full commitment. It's no small task. So we literally met, fixed my copy machine problem, and set a date to pop off a backflip 2 weeks from that day. So he had the ski that is built for backflips. Like literally your feet slip into like lockdown slippers. You have a lever that pulls the nozzle on the back of the ski down. It's called a trim lever. Then you've got your other lever, which is the throttle, which is the engine's built for all bottom and low end speed. So that when you pull both, it just pops you straight up and back, like very aggressively. So there was no chance for me to practice. And this is what you had asked is, did you prepare for that? Well, had I not trained for Richard's birthday, I would not have had the power that I needed, upper body, lower body, all of that from the climb, exhibition. And from the climax exhibition to the invitation of doing the stunt, I only had to visualize it. And this is a new lesson learned for me of the power of the imagination. I literally YouTubed every video of every backflip artist and watched carefully how they did it. And then I closed my eyes and visualized doing it hundreds of times over the 2 weeks, and then showed up on location. And it was tricky. It was tough. I mean, I failed 9 out of 10 times. It took me 10 attempts. And I broke my right kneecap in half. My left leg got impaled by the throttle lever like a metal tube. Got a cervical C3 whiplash and other bumps and bruises. But the last one, attempt 10, it all just timed perfectly. The trim, the throttle, the body language, the trough of the wave, everything just came together, and it was sky, water, and landing. And it was such a killer feeling. No idea did we realize we broke any kind of record. But shortly after all the buzz talk and the video footage, Peter's crew and my crew showed up camera ready. We were able to actually submit it and get a Guinness out of it. It was kind of fun.
Wow. I mean, what a story as well. Like to be able to overcome the hardships and then come out the other side, and only being able to essentially visualize the attempts in your mind before you did it. That sounds like you got a lot to share in terms of the power of visualizing and relying almost solely on mindset and your frame of mind going into this.
Absolutely. And the scripture, it says, God does not give me a spirit of fear. He gives me power, love, and a sound mind. So I still grapple with fear. It comes on me unexpected. I'm like, why am I feeling this? It's nice to like challenge that stunt. I'm like, if I can do that and face that down and power through it, even hurt, I can handle this. It somehow helps to shift one act of courage to something else that we're struggling with. And Checkered Flag Living, my new business, is really built so that I can continue nurturing my own coping with these things, grief especially, and then more importantly, use what I'm learning to help others who are suffering or feeling stuck. I can deal with 1,000 broken bones, but a broken spirit, my God, I have a whole new understanding of what that means. And there's a statistic, my kids are this age, they're both in college, that 1 out of 3 have thought about suicide, which really rocks my world because I look off at an audience when I speak at colleges, and I just think there's a third of this audience in that dark, stuck place, and whether their face shows it or not. And there's so many reasons contributing to that, and I'm constantly studying those things. I'm surrounded by PhDs and experts of this topic because I so much want to be a source of help to people who are hurting.
Now, I know that racing a jet ski is probably considered an extreme sport to say the least. I wonder how you deal with fear, because I imagine you wouldn't necessarily commit to your turns or commit to your backflip for that matter without being able to handle this, because you wouldn't push off as hard, you wouldn't really commit to these things if fear was having its hand on the wheel, so to speak. So how do you deal with it? How have you dealt with fear over the years?
So great question. It applies to extreme sports with which that's what differentiates the winners from the losers, are the ones that break through those thresholds. But it affects real life. College students who don't know what they're going to do with the rest of their life, parents who are new at parenting, and I mean, we all suffer for different reasons, but the feeling is equally horrible. So I would say to the subject of fear, there is good fear. I mean, it isn't intelligent to see, shark infested waters and go jump in and surf in it. I mean, let's operate with a little common sense. Even the Bible says that fear of the Lord is beginning of wisdom. Fear in the frame of high respect for that which is more powerful than you, you're wise to have that filter. But then there's crippling fear that stops you from going forward, fulfilling your dreams, maybe choosing to sit it out because you don't want to fail in front of people. Ask yourself, what are you afraid of? What's really the root of this fear? Is it a healthy fear that's going to protect you from harm? Or is it a toxic fear that's going to grip you and stop you from living? And that's the fear I'm talking about. I prefer to, I said to myself at one point, I was so afraid I felt paralyzed to take on new challenges or, because I was suffering with my own grief and anxiety. I thought, how do I talk about mental health touch points um, and not be a hypocrite? And I talked to one of my favorite, he's a neuropsychiatrist friend of mine. His name is Dr. John Rady. He's world renowned. And I spoke with him. I said, and he's out of Harvard University. I said, how do I talk about this when I'm myself struggling with it? And he said, that makes you the right person because you have empathy and experience. So that said, honor the good fear, respect it. Like the stunt that I did, it wasn't reckless, like abandon, action. It was thought through. I did, assess the risk. But then there was a measure that I had to apply courage and take a risk. I'd say if you are afraid of doing something for fear of judgment or criticism or someone mocking you or laughing at you because you're not good enough or didn't perform, throw that fear out the window. I say slay that beast called fear.
I wonder what would you call a calculated risk? And the reason why I ask is I would imagine if you come out on top of that calculation, you're likely to take action. But then I would guess anyway that there will be people that will have a different barometer for what they can and can't do. So I'm curious as to how you think about it.
Real life example, I mean, when I was doing the backflip and came short, and with every attempt that wasn't a full commitment um, and timed right and properly, the shortfall was the ski landing on top of me. So it was either my neck or my elbow or my knee or whatever, whatever. So I had an option with each injury. Is it smarter right now to quit? Or should I try this one more time? And I'm like, my brother was there, different coaches, and they're like, and you're so close. Now, some people might say that's stupid, but for me in that moment, I was so close that I felt like I've gone too far to not give myself the chance to experience the reward. So for me, that was that. And so shift it to another scenario. Say you're agreeing to, I don't know, give me an example in your life of a fear versus risk management. Give me an example and I'll talk you through it.
Okay, so let's say you're in a job currently, but you're wanting to do your own thing. You're wanting to leave something behind and chase what you want to achieve and what you want to do.
Yeah. Good. I love that example. So I say always keep your integrity first. Never ever undermine someone or push someone down to elevate yourself. It never ever satisfies and it always comes back to be more harmful than good. So my advice there is you have to use wisdom. You have to research. Make your goal, set your goal, write down your dream and your wish. What does your perfect outcome look like? Write it out. Then ask yourself, what are the steps to getting there that wouldn't be one that tarnishes your integrity for being right and good to the people around you? So if that means you're going to build something, that means you're going to leave somebody and leaving that person, make sure that you leave them whole or prepared or with time to prepare. And then make sure you have enough money for the transition of, the fact that, a lot of times starting something new won't show fruit for a while. You think about farming and a good hard frozen winter, the harder the freeze, the better the crop. But once you gotta wait for it, you got to prepare the soil, you got to lay down the seeds. You could be a bit of a while of investing time and energy and resources before you see a crop. But in my experience, which I've reinvented myself on a business scale multiple times, and I'm in the middle of it now with Checkered Flag Living. You have to have a passion and a reason that will drive you to go through the uncertainties. There are no certainties. You just have to trust and believe in what you're doing. If what you're doing is a good thing for you and a good thing for those around you, pray about it. God will bless it. And then all of a sudden you'll see a harvest. And boy, harvests are generous. The Bible says the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. So stick with your dream. Don't let fear of failure, if all those things are in line, your integrity and your dream makes sense, and you've got a little safety net to carry you through that time of uncertainty, go for it. It's worth the risk of faith, and then boom, here comes this beautiful crop, and then you'll be able to share the rewards with many. And that's the joy of being successful, is being able to share it with people you love.
Now, it sounds like you've had to almost reinvent yourself multiple times over the years of whether it's companies or competing or being a parent as well, and all of that all wrapped up into one. How have you been able to do that successfully? How have you been able to reinvent yourself? Were there any prompts or questions that you were able to say to yourself to help navigate it? How did you do it?
I have done it by staying rooted and anchored in my faith, which tells me to never give up. The Bible says, work wholeheartedly as unto the Lord, for it is the Lord thy God you serve. You know, you're born and then you die, and in only God is is all you've got in those two moments. So in between, why would we abandon our faith? It makes no sense. Faith is your power, especially when you are challenged beyond your understanding and your own strength. So that's first. And second, surround yourself with people that love you through it all. And then don't let the mockers, get in your head. Because they're going to try. There's also this thing called the enemy seeking for whom he may devour, disrupt. That's real too. So, being wise and then having faith when you feel confused or lost. Just don't let go of that rock of the anchor of faith. And you can't do it alone. I will say, when I was in my lowest point in, the last 5 years, having lost my most powerful mentors of my life, I felt super alone, abandoned. My faith was thin, really thin, but God is good. He never fails. He brings in those resources in the least expected moments to assure us that He has never left us. And it is the hard, cold winters, like I said, in farming, that bring forth the greatest crops. So we often learn the most when we suffer. It's terrible. I don't want to, but it's part of life. And if we learn to say, I embrace that, then we'll grow through that.
What would you say is your, I guess, most helpful failure? The one that provided the biggest lesson, and what was the lesson from that, from the, let's just say, most impactful failure that you've had?
Gosh. Well, I will say kind of an interesting one. And as I'm looking at the screen and I see behind me the heel logo, the checkered flag, the helmet, I remember, oh wow, okay. Okay, my first world championship was in 89, and I was 19 years old. And I started getting picked up by all the different factories and sponsors, featured on ESPN. Fox Sports came on and became a host. Everything was rolling really well. And that prosperity of winning brought the advertisers and all the open door opportunities. and it helped me support my race team, my race program. A lot of people were dependent on me doing well. And the first time I was defeated, it was devastating to me. I got, comfortable with hard work, domination from 89 to 93. And then in 94, I was taken down. I watched the crowd literally migrate from my pits down to hers. And I was left with my tiny core team and my brother and my mom. And you really realize what is highly important at that time. And I was part of the defeat was caused by multiple injuries. So I was physically suffering. I prayed for a miracle. A miracle didn't happen. So my faith was strained. I was pretty vocal about my faith. So people would say, "Oh, where's your God now? He's not there for you now. What do coping with the disappointments, it is maybe the most important lesson of all. So again, I was taught in that moment, I had a choice to make. Am I going to stay down and cry and be bitter and angry, or am I going to learn from this and humble myself and say, congratulations to the new champ, and how do I regroup? Who's going to stay with me in this crappy low point? And then in rebuilding, it was through that mess that I was introduced to Richard, the Versa Climber guru, and then the Sports Performance and Rehab Center that they were connected to, which was rooted in heart rate technology, body mass index measures, VO2 max measures, all the sciences, all the health sciences helped me recover. And I took a beating. I got beat bad for a whole season. When I say a season, we're talking, we start our national tour in May and we finish in October. And every week we're in a different city on a different water condition, lakes, rivers, oceans. And I got beat up literally and figuratively all of 94, all of 95, racing with broken this and strained that. And they taught me how to train more intelligently and not just go on out for more and more beatings. I switched in 96 from a hull that was beating me up to a hull, a new brand of watercraft that just came out. And the world champion and I were finally matched on equal equipment for the first time. And I reached a physical fitness level with the help of that team that I had never experienced in my life through the sciences. And we won back that championship, and it was commanding and it was exhilarating. And the flag you're seeing over my shoulder right there was when I crossed the finish line, and the race marshal who saw me for 2 years take a beating handed me that flag while I was on it. And oh my God, I've got a few pictures in magazines that highlight that moment. But that moment is pivotal. It's why it's sitting in my office right now. Had I not suffered all that time of just setback and pain and grind and healing, I wouldn't know who my real friends were, who I really should be worried about the approval of. Are you kidding me? This whole social media madness of wanting everybody to like me, that'll make anyone insane. Be concerned with the ones that really care about you. The rest will come and go as they please. Do not waste your energy on that. Focus on your faith, focus on the ones that are really got your back. And then to finalize this storyboard, to my other side of my shoulder is the HEAL logo. Everything HEAL stands on and teaches since I started HEAL 20 years ago as an experiment in one school to take the sciences learned through that mess and apply them to the school system and convert physical education to a measurable health and wellness experience for kids. Merging those two has now allowed the nonprofit to reach 220 schools across the state of Alabama, 45,000 kids, and we are growing in momentum because our measurables are significant. And that is reported by medical schools like UAB, one of the top medical schools in the world right here in our backyard. So, hey, there it is. All that awful setback has had produced a newfound crop, which is called Heal United.
What an incredible story, Christy. It sounds like there's so much that you bring to the table, especially when it comes to health and wellness and how to at least figure out what you're measuring as well. Because health can be such a spider's web of things, and not all of it's important. I imagine most of it is. So let's talk health and wellness then. What are some of the key things that we should be looking at? What are the key markers that we should be measuring as a barometer or a guide for being healthy and well?
Well, it started off HEAL, HEAL stands for healthy eating, active living. The two iconic pieces, which are nutrition and exercise. I think that is bedrock. But now, after going through all that I have with mental emotional distress, I realize that I think I mentioned, I'd rather have 10 broken bones than a broken spirit. A broken spirit will leave you dysfunctional. I believe you have to have your spirit inspired, then the mental focus. So thinking on the things that motivate you to be your best self. The physical follows. So if you're in good company, your mind's on positive, good things, it's easier to get up and go do that morning workout or whatever your daily physical routine is. I think exercising then makes you respect your body to say, man, I'm putting all this effort out. I better put some good fuel in the fuel tank. Why would I undo this investment of physical? Physicals, it's work. Not every day is a joy. Sometimes you just got to get it done, get it in. I call it putting a deposit in the health account. But you make that deposit, go ahead and support it with putting good food in the gas tank. So then right now we're actually building a dual enrollment, which means a high school course that is worth a college credit. And it demands that we satisfy 10 wellness modules. So I didn't realize there's so many intrinsically linked influencers, from environmental, cultural to, so it's nutrition, it's exercise, it's occupational, environmental, cultural. We could go on for another hour, and maybe we will one day dive deeper into all the wellness modules. But the basics, your mind, body, spirit. Get your spirit connected to something positive. For me, it's Jesus Christ. Get your mind then aligned with positive, you know, life goals, and then the body will follow. Put a good schedule together. Get your 30 to 60 minutes of exercise in your aerobic heart zone. Aerobic means with oxygen. It's moving continuously in a way that is not super stressful, but it's definitely a little bit of a challenge. That gets your heart pumping. It makes you have to breathe in good deep breaths and release stale air, and it circulates the whole anatomy. This is your best medicine for prevention of all the chronic diseases. Then add to that healthy food. What is it? Low sugar, low sodium, low fat. Fill up on, a color array of colors of vegetables, dark green leafy lettuces, lean proteins, chicken, fish. I like red meat. I try to go for lean red meat, not a lot, but I don't abandon it. Some people would argue that, but I just think that keep it simple, keep it basic, lean proteins, load up on all the vegetables, fresh fruits, avoid the processed and the heavy sugars and fats and sodiums, and you'll be golden.
I wonder if things have changed for you over the years. So when you were an athlete, when you were competing regularly, not just sort of as a one-off, you had to keep yourself in peak condition quite regularly, especially if you're competing every week or every couple of weeks. And then as you retired and started to go down other routes as well, did things change for you, or were there any habits that were even harder to break? Like you still do some things even today that you used to do?
Absolutely. So, in the late 80s, they taught us to carb up, like every athlete, eat your pasta and they really didn't emphasize proteins. They said they digest more slowly. And so I did as I was told, and I always carried a little extra weight that I didn't like or want, but I couldn't shake it. I was hungry and training like relentlessly. And I was just told that's just how I have to look and do to be really powerful and strong for winning races. And I was told you get paid for how you race and win, not for how you look. Until I got booked to do stunts and body doubling on Baywatch. And I was like, I got to do something to be Baywatch ready. And then at that time, it was the 90s, and I had raced I did some car racing for Toyota. I did the pro celebrity race, Long Beach Grand Prix. And I got to race with Jason Bateman and Alfonso Ribeiro and other celebrities and this supermodel named Carol Alt. And I said, Carol, what are the secrets to leaning out and getting camera ready, for this? And she said, forget the carbs. She's from New York. She goes, you're killing yourself with your carbs. My carbs. Oh God, okay. So I switched that up and I emphasized no sugar, no carbs, all lean. She wanted me to eat everything I could raw. So that meant like seeds and nuts, tuna seared, and greens. She didn't want me to eat a lot of fruit because it has high sugar value, but I don't teach that to the kids that I serve today, but I did that. And actually, my body, it was like shrink wrap. I leaned down. I was absolutely Baywatch ready. It worked. And then that season of that life required that behavior. So moving forward, then I, get married, get pregnant. Well, my diet now is 100% about the baby, not about any of that. So I think your goals and objectives change. Today I'm 54 now, post injuries of my crazy stunt but I have to stay positive. That's my big challenge today is I'm just kind of getting out of this cave of extreme grief from the trauma of losing all my loved ones in such a short amount of time. And I'll still get triggers that kind of pull that fear over me, and I have to really resist that. So I do that by trying to set goals that are fun. So Richard, I love him, as I mentioned, who invented VersaClimber. He triggered me to go ahead and do 95 minutes on the climber. I did that. I'm actually still enjoying the fitness that I got out of that. I'm still pretty beast fit wise. But I'm not so inspired. Like I don't want to do that right now. So what I do want to do is my newfound, well, I used to always have loved surfing. I'm not a great surfer. I'm a great jet skier. I can say that. But surfing, I'm more of an amateur, but I love the challenge of it. I love the beauty, the energy. And I have a pro surfer in California that whenever I get out and visit my son who goes to Pepperdine University, we get out and we try surfing. And so I recently accepted a keynote invitation at Porsche in Woodland Hills, and I just got my new favorite bucket list car. I just bought a Porsche Boxster manual transmission convertible, super cute. And they are celebrating in California the surf culture and the high performance just driving top down West Coast style. So I'm actually building a fitness flow that is all about going to the North Shore in Hawaii in your mind's eye. So this is kind of pulling together my newfound respect for visualization, having visualized that backflip, my love for the ocean and surf, and then the Porsche brand of high performance, oh my God, you couldn't put more of my favorite things in one frame. And so that's my new thing. I'm actually building a fitness flow series that's all about going to fabulous destinations in your imagination. And we're going to get fit to get done two gnarly waves in the North Shore.
That sounds incredible to be able to do all of that. And then I guess Do you ever wonder about how to stay fit on the road? Because obviously you must travel quite a bit when you're speaking as well. What are some of the little tricks that you have to stay fit and healthy while you're traveling?
Great question. How to stay healthy while traveling. And, even during racing, a big advantage to winning and losing a championship, because it's just like NASCAR, jet ski racing back in the day, every race stop was a points accumulation. So, if you got taken out because you got the flu, I mean, I actually had to race with the flu. It was a huge advantage to learn how to try to stay healthy while traveling. And some of the tricks that I learned were avoid sharing drinks and anything that could, with your family or friends or whatever, like, don't share your water because you never know if you're sharing germs. Also washing your hands, just basic hygiene. And now today it's another animal. Ugh, I hate wearing a mask, and I don't know, the mask thing turns me off. But if someone is sick or coughing, I mean, you got to get your distance and do what you got to do to try to protect from that. But on a positive note, I'd say hydrate. You can't overhydrate if you're flying, especially. And then eat fruits. I think the fruits like oranges and things like that, I think they infuse vitamin C and antioxidants and also help your body absorb the hydration. Just eat healthy. Let your body not have to toil over eliminating toxic things. Just think about it like that. Enable and empower your body to defend you by drinking healthy, hydrating liquids and eating lean, nutritious foods.
And you mentioned about trying to trigger some more positive frames of mind as well. Like I find that really interesting where sometimes life is constantly trying to distract you or trying to push you down the negative road. But I'd be curious as to how you keep yourself so positive, whether you're traveling, whether you're competing, and what are some of your positive habits and triggers for you?
Yeah, even this morning, I think every day we are blasted with so many reasons to be negative. I mean, the media just grinds on me. It makes me full of anxiety. I don't even realize it until I'm feeling it. I'm like, why am I feeling this? Oh, the TV's on, and I've been listening to the news in the background, and it's so polarized, and it hurts my spirit. So I think that what I do is I start the morning before everyone wakes up. I open my devotional and try to fill my mind with words of victory and winning. Like checkered flag living is the best way forward in life. And what was that this morning? It says that the Prince of Peace will crush the enemy. So the way of Christ is be a peacemaker, love people, love God, love your neighbor as yourself. It's so much easier than trying to win an argument or a battle. It's like the Bible says, be anxious in nothing, but in all things through prayer and petition, meaning you pray, but you don't just pray once, you pray constantly. With thanksgiving, which means you have an expectation, and the God of peace will guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. What are the two things we lose when we get stressed out? Our heart races and our mind runs. And that's when we get out of balance. And so the Bible instructs us to trust, pray, and be about peace. And in doing that, we will be healthier and happier and more effective and productive.
I've really enjoyed talking with you actually, Christy, about all of this. It seems like there's a very holistic approach to being healthy and happier as well. And I'm curious as to you have any final words of wisdom for those that are listening. So if you wanted to impart any final bits of advice, this would be it. And I wonder, we don't want to leave any stone unturned, do we? So if you would kick yourself because you didn't get to share it, then this is your chance to fulfill that and scratch that itch as well. So, what advice do you have for us?
The best advice would not be mine, it would be from the Bible. And Checkered Flag Living, my business, is founded on 1 Corinthians 9:24. When I discovered the Bible actually talks about racing, I realized the Bible is cool. Okay, so it says, In a race, all the runners run, but only one gets the prize. Run as if to win the prize. So, what does winning look like? Winning looks like loving God and loving your neighbor as yourself. Love well. And that would be my best advice.
And for those listening that would like to enter your world, Christy, engage with the things that you're up to, how can they do that? So it would be your chance to share websites and social media, that sort of thing.
So if you go to heal, HEAL, united.org, that's the nonprofit that I founded and presently run. And there's just a ton of free resources for great advice for healthy living. And then I have my new, more personal business, checkeredflagliving.com. And there is where I can be a little more vocal about life coaching and faith and those kinds of things. So, yeah, feel free to visit in those two places and watch them evolve.
Thanks so much for being a guest on the show. Those that are listening, feel free to subscribe, share the show, tell others, and also leave a review wherever you are listening into your podcasts. Christy, I've enjoyed this. Thanks very much, and I look forward to keeping in touch. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.